Some people can find a reason to complain no matter what, even when they're handed something fancy for free just for showing up. Hello and welcome back to Karma Stories. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today's episode has a bunch of classic Karen behavior. We have dog park drama, a man who thinks the college parking lot belongs to him personally, and across the world, one Karen nearly ruins an entire adventure for everyone around her. No delay today, on to the stories, let's jump right in. This story comes to us from Moonsalt Mab. My Karen aunt freaked out over free champagne. When I was a kid, my parents, aunt and uncle got together to go to a super fancy restaurant on New Year's Eve. The restaurant was serving free champagne to everyone while they waited on their table reservations. Now, anyone in their right mind would be psyched to receive free champagne, but not my aunt. When the drink was served to her, she saw that it was in a plastic champagne flute. This was obviously done for the sake of easy cleanup for the restaurant staff and the fact that there were a crap ton of people there, so they didn't want to run out of real champagne glasses for tables. But my aunt lost it. She started screaming at the hostess and waitstaff, talking about how unacceptable it was to be serving champagne in a plastic cup, and calling the restaurant trashy. This was one of the most high-end restaurants in the state, mind you. Now, this woman is a raging alcoholic, so you'd think she'd just be happy about free booze, but I guess she has standards on how she gets crap-faced, laugh out loud. In true Karen fashion, she demanded to speak to the manager to yell at them too. My uncle, being the whipped husband he is, did absolutely nothing. My parents were mortified and wanted to just leave, but they'd had these plans for months. The rest of the night was insanely awkward, and they vowed to never go out to eat with my aunt again. This was in the 90s, before Karen shaming and the "can I speak to your manager" meme, so I unfortunately have no satisfying retribution follow-up to this. But my parents still talk about it to this day. I seriously wish I had a video. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called The Great Yeti 33. It says, "Man, that is super bold of her to freak out before she got her food and still eat there. Hope there was no collateral damage to your family's food." OP responded and said, "Right? I can't imagine how many times her food has been spat in." Another commenter down below called DenSolo44 said, "Were I the manager, I would have served her in a glass and then charged her for it." I feel like this aunt is the kind of person that would cause trouble the whole time they're in the restaurant regardless, because they just came in with a bad attitude and that's going to continue. And of course, they're going to be the ones that either tip barely anything or nothing at all. Completely agree with the commenter. This is not the kind of person that you want to sit down and eat with, because you have no idea what's happened to your food. You ever deal with someone who keeps asking the same question over and over, even after you've clearly answered it? Yeah, this lady wasn't looking for reassurance, she just wanted a reason to be mad. This story comes to us from Bittersweet Drops. "My dog is leashed, can we move on?" So I was walking my dog and stopped to pick up the poop. Some lady was walking her dog too, and it looked like she was waiting on me to pass by us. So I said, "Hi there, you can pass," reassuring her, I thought. Note that my dog was leashed and with a short one, cause she likes to eat stuff from the floor and she'll take chances when she sees one, and we were on the side of the road. So this lady and her dog had 80% of the sidewalk to pass. Then she started asking me if my dog was leashed. I was confused, and then I thought, darn, my leggings are black and maybe she can't see the black leash. So I said, "She is leashed, don't worry, and also she's on a short leash right now." Then she insisted more, asking about the leash and pointed to my dog's collar. At that point, I show her on the air that I had the leash in my hand, which is red, that was connected to my dog's collar. And then she started ranting about that she got attacked before with an accusatory demeanor and kept pushing the leash topic. I said, "No worries, my dog is friendly." And then she kept on insisting on, "Is she or not on a leash?" I said, "My dog is always on a leash. Like, can you stop and keep walking?" While she stared at me with a judging look and not walking. I don't know what the F else you want from me, lady. If you don't like it, cross the street. There's literally no one. Then, finally, she passed, almost like she was being insulted. The F is this? I was attacked many times before by irresponsible owners' dogs. I get it's scary, but how much do I need to reassure her? It's not my effing problem. But never behave like this when I see someone is actually paying 100% of the attention to their dog that is leashed. I hate this crap where people assume the worst only because my dog is big. She's about the size of a border collie by city standards where everyone has a mini toy, and to top it all, they behave like crap because no one paid attention to their effing training. Give me a break, my dog is trained and is almost 10 years old and is still being trained to this day. I still wish she learns to pick up her toys and put them back in the basket. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Content Great Grandma. It says, if this repeats, just look her square in the eye and say, your paranoia is not my problem. OP responded and said, yeah, next time I won't say anything. I always try to be nice. I also wish people won't judge my pooch based on her size. My baby is really well behaved and shy. But I think that is wasted on these kind of people. Another commenter called jsmith2127 said, I would have asked her if she was blind. OP responded and said, I wish I could. I hate myself sometimes because I'm not more confrontational. I don't know why people are like this. I try to be polite and nice. Yeah, I just want to walk around with my baby while relaxing and singing in between telling her not to eat stuff. I really want to snap and tell her, you know what, go to hell, lady. Walk or not, or run or dance. I don't care. I'm busy picking up poot. Ah yes, the kind of Karen that thinks that their opinion can inconvenience everybody else without repercussions. Some Karens truly need to remember that their kinda crazy isn't everybody else's kinda crazy. It would have been just as easy for this one to go across the street or even out onto the street for a moment to get around OP and their dog if Karen wasn't sure of what was going on. So many other options, but this is YouKaren subreddit, so we know they don't take the right ones. You know those people who start a conversation all sweet and friendly, and then suddenly flip into full-on accusation mode? This woman went from, can you do me a favor, to, your dog's ruining my yard, even though it wasn't hers. This story comes to us from Honey Bunny. Weird encounter when walking my dog. Earlier this week, I was walking my dog. The weather has finally warmed up to above 0 degrees after weeks of -30, so we're both excited to get out. I was walking through this public park green space bordered by an apartment parking lot. I know for a fact this green space is public property and not the apartments because I work for the municipality and it is our responsibility to maintain this area. This lady is parked in a truck half on the public sidewalk and half on the parking lot. She's blocking the sidewalk, so I end up awkwardly walking around her truck in the parking lot to get around. She then rolls her window down and calls out to me, "Excuse me, can you do me a favor?" I assumed she was just a nice lady who needed my help quickly, so I turned and answered, "Oh, yeah, sure, what do you need?" "I need you to stop letting your dog crap and pee in my yard." I was initially confused and immediately went to apologize. "Oh, I'm sorry, is this part of your yard?" and pointed at the sidewalk I was just on. "No, my yard's over there." And she vaguely gestured at the apartment in the opposite direction. I was just kinda confused and off-put, so I was like, "Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, you need to keep your dog on a leash and clean up after it. Stop letting it run around in my yard." Me standing there with my dog leashed and poop bags in hand. Yeah, okay, no problem. I was still really confused and just started walking away and laughing at her cause it wasn't worth my time engaging. I'm just so baffled. I haven't walked in that area in over a month and my dog is always on a leash. I always clean up after her. I've never seen this lady in my life, and neither me nor my dog certainly haven't been in her yard. She initially spoke to me in a really friendly tone, and then quickly became aggressive and accusatory for no reason. She wasn't senile either. It's not like she was just some angry old lady. She was like 40. The only thing I can think of is there is a part of the green space that some dog owners have been neglecting to clean up after their pets. So maybe she is reacting that way to all dog owners. Regardless, that attitude was unnecessary. That's not her yard. She could have just kindly asked me to make sure I clean up after my dog because some pet owners in the area haven't been respectful of the space. Maybe she got me confused for someone else she's seen. Who knows? Laugh out loud. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called DenseDress1287. It says, just say, yeah, okay lady, I do clean up after my dog. And as evidence, here is me throwing my poop bag in the trash. And then toss the bag through her open car window and walk away. Or another answer might be, I'll consider it when you learn how to drive and stop parking your truck on my sidewalk. Another commenter down below called Oh Wretched One said, sure, offering her the poop bag. I'm sure you wouldn't mind dumping this for me then, eh? When she complains, you could say, you're right, you're so full of crap already, you can't handle anymore. Exit stage left. All these people in the comments were making suggestions that OP should have confronted this woman and thrown it right back in her face. But if they're already making crazy accusations to the first dog owner and dog that they see, well, do you really want to poke that? Obviously, Karen is already unhinged, and you probably shouldn't escalate that situation. College parking lots are already a nightmare. Then you get some guy who parks sideways, blocks 2 spots, litters, and acts like he owns the place. Absolute peak male Karen energy. This story comes to us from FoxLover96. Douchebag male Karen owns the college parking lot, allegedly. So today is already crappy. We were hit with a wet snowstorm, so it snowed, then rained, and now there's a combo of slush, sleet, and ice on the roads. And it's still pouring and cold. I woke up late for class, so overall, not the best start to the morning. So I get to my college's parking lot. Despite my college having several parking lots, the actual part you drive down is very narrow, and only a couple of the rows are one-ways, so it's already cramped. Turning into the parking space itself is also narrow and tricky if there's already a car in the spot next to the one you're pulling into. So I'm driving down the road trying to find a parking space when I see this car parked sideways and blocking 2 parking spaces. I pull up behind him and he doesn't move at all. He gives me a dirty look in his driver's side mirror and continues smoking his cigarette. Then he proceeds to eat something and throw the plastic wrapper out the window. Guy's also like 50 years old. Probably a student, most likely not. Are you effing kidding me, dude? Why must you block not only the row that is already so narrow to begin with, but also block 2 of the closest parking spaces in the pouring rain at 8 in the morning in crappy weather when students are trying to get to class? Furthermore, why the F are you littering? People who litter are the epitome of trash. Trashy people, trashy behavior. I did call security, as I didn't see the parking sticker or pass on his car. Even if he is a student, why don't you just effing park and eat your food and smoke your cancer sticks? Or why don't you just effing go home? Dump your trash on your own kitchen floor. Why must you take it upon yourself to make everyone else's day harder for no effing reason? Anyways, really hoping this day gets better. I hate driving in the rain. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called You Got Me Effed Up. It says, people's entitlement never ceases to amaze. Really hope your day gets better from here. You deserve a little treat for making it this far in the day. Okay, does anybody else here feel like this guy might have been a gig driver? Like, I'm not here for very long, so it doesn't matter how much space I take up, and they didn't have a parking pass, and they looked older than the average student, so I'm just taking a wild guess here, but I think it might have been a gig driver. Well done for reporting this one, OP, because people will never learn unless they actually have somebody giving them crap for what they're doing. Group travel is supposed to be fun. New places, new people, unforgettable memories. Unfortunately, one of those memories ended up being a relentless, judgmental 20-something who made the entire trip miserable for everyone. This story comes to us from Tab6678, a young Karen on an adventure trip I was on. It was 2007. I was 49. My 25-year marriage had ended 6 months earlier. After it was discovered she had been cheating with a high school crush she reconnected with at an alumni dinner a few years earlier. We sold the matrimonial house, each bought our own place, and moved on with our lives. So my therapist told me, "You are under stress, take a long, exotic vacation." Travel was something I was used to, already had done many amazing race-style adventure trips with my family. I eventually settled on a Gap Adventures trip through Egypt. 15 days, 15 people, guided tour. Sounded good, as Egypt was someplace I always was intrigued with. I hopped on a plane to Amsterdam, spent the day sightseeing, then on to Cairo, met up with the rest of the group Sunday night. So there was me from Canada, a middle-aged married couple, and a couple of young party girls from Toronto, a young professional couple who worked at BlackBerry from Waterloo, a middle-aged married couple from Australia who also brought his brother, a female couple from Alberta, a single lady from Quebec, and a single lady from British Columbia, and finally, a young single guy from Washington, D.C. We met at a staging hotel and introduced ourselves. I mentioned I was there to experience Egypt and nothing more. Monday, we toured the Cairo Museum and the pyramids. Monday night, we took a train to Aswan. Tuesday was free time and then a sunset sailing on the Nile. Wednesday, we had the morning free. I had walked the streets alone the night before and the morning of to see and experience Egyptian life. I didn't hang with the rest of the group because all they did was sit together at the bar of whatever hotel we were staying at and drink beer, each moment of their free time. I was there to experience Egypt, figuring I can drink when I get back home. I mingled and interacted with the locals. I stopped at cafes and had coffee, tea, and bought delicious falafel sandwiches from a street vendor. I had one on the spot and kept another one for later. I am hypoglycemic, my blood sugar drops quickly, so I have to eat regularly. I came back to the hotel and we checked out and walked to the waterfront and boarded a falaka, sailboat on the Nile. Our home for the next 3 days and 2 nights. Sailing was at noon. The group spread out on 2 falakas. As we set sail, I started to eat the second falafel sandwich. Tracy from Alberta saw me and immediately went to our tour guide. "Are we getting fed on this boat?" "Yes, in about an hour, we will pull into the West Bank and we'll have lunch." Tracy turns to me, lips pursed tight, and with a look of pure hate in her eyes, she screams, "Why did you bring food when they will have food? Are you that stupid?" I looked at her in puzzlement. I have to eat every few hours, blood sugar, but what business of yours is it what I do? She turned away in disgust. Later that afternoon, as we were tacking into the wind heading north, I pulled out a cigarette pack-sized multi-band radio from my backpack to quietly listen to local Egyptian radio. Tracy saw me. "You don't honestly think you're going to pick up Canadian stations all the way out from here?" "I'm listening to local stations, but why do you care?" Tracy turns away in disgust. We spend the night with the felucca pulled up along the West Bank. We were told to pee in the sandy dunes about 100 feet away. I took a small LED flashlight to see my way. Pointing the beam down, I found my way back to the boat. Tracy said, "Put that flashlight away, you're ruining everyone's night vision." I ignored her. Tracy was in her early 20s and was with her companion, a severely quiet woman of a similar age who probably didn't say more than 10 words to anyone the entire trip. We make it to Luxor. Tracy was on my boat, never stopping her critical, condescending, motor-mouthed chatter, criticizing everything and everyone. No one stood up for her. She continued to berate me and a few others every chance she gets. She starts turning one against the other with gossip. We complained to the tour guide, who told us it was not his place to interfere. I finally had enough, and while on the bus to Cairo, after she started on me sitting on the wrong side of the bus instead of where she thought I and a few others should be sitting, I let her have it. Told her to leave me alone, to stop ruining everyone's vacation with her endless commentary about everything all the time. Oh, she didn't like that, but ignored me after that. The Toronto couple, it turns out they can't have children, so no matter where we stopped, they would seek out impoverished children and give them school supplies as a kindness gesture. Tracy wouldn't have any of it and came down hard on the couple, that it wasn't up to them to give things without clearing it with the parents, lest they be accused of being predators. The BlackBerry couple went out on their own one night in Luxor to a Chinese restaurant along the Nile. Tracy heard about it and yelled at them, "Why the hell would you come all the way to Egypt and go to a Chinese restaurant?" For the record, the tour guide was taking us to third-rate restaurants, getting a kickback from the owners, and pocketing the budget difference. We were starving by the end of the trip. We went to Alexandria and back to Cairo and across to Sinai, ending in Dahab. The Australians had had enough and left the group. No one was talking to anyone at this point, except Tracy, who continued her assault on other members of the group for every infraction that went against her incredibly pinheaded, narrow-minded, ignorant view of life and the world. We returned to the staging hotel in Cairo. Everyone parted ways and returned home. Over the following months, as some of us reconnected on Facebook, the topic was always Tracy and how her bitterness had ruined an otherwise amazing experience. Since that trip in 2007, I have made 32 trips to Europe, Middle East, and Asia, solo or with a friend. The last 9 with my new wife. We repeated the entire Egypt trip 2 years ago this week on our own. We looked at group trips to Morocco, Kenya, Patagonia, and each time, I shuddered with the thought of another Tracy ruining the experience and booked something for the two of us instead. Jumping down to the comments on this one, there's one from a user called Your Boy Shoe. It says, such important advice. Those small group trips always look like fun, but one Karen can easily ruin the experience for everyone. This story was a little bit different because most of our Karen stories are just like immediate blow-ups and it's over really quickly. But on this one, everybody had to endure the Karen for the whole time that they were on that trip. I don't blame the Australians one bit for checking out early and not dealing with her anymore. Now, I know OP and the commenter said that they book solo trips now, but I honestly do think if you get the right group of people on a group trip, it can be an amazing experience. The chances of one person turning the whole thing into a crap show like this trip are actually really slim. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to follow us on your podcasting platform of choice, and if you're on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It does tell YouTube that we're doing a good job. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.